Okay, we are ready to go.
Okay. I'm calling this meeting of the Tucson AMA Groundwater Users Advisory Council to order. Today is Tuesday, September 16th, 2025, and the time is 1:01 p.m. and I am Val Little, the chair. Would the other council members please introduce themselves?
Michael Block, retired, Metro Water District.
Doug Greenland, Cortero Moran Irrigation District.
Pat Jacobs, member of the board of Central Arizona Project.
Welcome, Pat. Okay, we've got a quorum, and would ADWR staff please introduce themselves?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Taylor Pearson. I am the new AMA Program Supervisor overseeing the GOAC Coordinator, our WMAP Grant Coordinator, as well as our IGFR Conveyances and Relinquishments team there.
Right. My name is Tommy Tiasmacha. I am the AMA WMAP Grant Coordinator with the Arizona Department of Water Resources.
Rebecca Burnett, Manager of the Arizona Water Banking Authority.
Madeline Oliver, Water Resources Specialist with the Arizona Water Banking Authority.
And David French, AMA Director.
Great. I'm writing that down. Okay. Let's go to meeting logistics. Taylor, you've got logistics for us?
Yes, thank you. And good morning, everybody. Before we get started, I would like to go over some webinar logistics. Members of the public, we ask that you please keep your audio muted during the meeting. This helps reduce any audio feedback. If during the meeting you have a question, please feel free to type your question in the chat box and they will be read and addressed at the end of each agenda item. If you would like to speak to the council, the call to the public will be the time to do so. Please indicate in the chat that you would like to speak and we will unmute you at that time. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted to ADWR's website and YouTube page once it's generated. If you're having any technical difficulties, please contact our help desk. You can find their information on the screen there. If you would like to be added to the GOAC mailing list, please email myself at tpearson@azwater.gov. Please indicate which email you would like added and make sure you specify which AMA, so the Tucson AMA, so I know I can add you to the correct list there. And presenters today, please ask for the next slide when presenting your agenda item. In order to allow time for questions and to ensure that every agenda item is heard today, please keep your presentation to 10 minutes. I will provide a 1-minute warning as you approach the end of your time. And that is all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Taylor. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 3, the Water Bank Authority. Rebecca, take it away.
Actually, I will be presenting our plan of operation. My name is Madeline Oliver. I'm the Water Resources Specialist, as I said before, for the Arizona Water Banking Authority.
Okay.
And we are presenting our preliminary plan of operation for 2026 per our statutes to seek comments from the council and public. So for 2026, the Bureau of Reclamation has announced, has announced a Tier 1 shortage, which means that we are looking at a 512,000 acre-foot reduction of Arizona's Colorado River water. This means that there will be 0 water available for the CAP excess pool, 0 for the ag pool, and a large impact to the NIA priority pool as well, which will trigger Indian firming by the bank. Without that excess CAP water, the bank will not be able to store water to accrue credits. However, we will be able to develop them through the purchase of ICS firming credits. This is pursuant to our IGA with the Gila River Indian Community, and through the purchase of long-term storage credits as well. Here we are looking at the funding for calendar year 2026. I will note that this table does not include funds that were appropriated for the uses of ANZAC. In 2026, the bank will spend $373,454 of withdrawal fees that were collected in the Phoenix AMA to purchase 1,157 acre-feet of ICS firming credits, pursuant again to our IGA with the Gila River Indian community. This purchase will complete our commitment to purchase ICS under that agreement with the community, which was all part of DCP. With the rest of our withdrawal fees in the Tucson and Phoenix AMAs, we will be looking for opportunities to purchase long-term storage credits. And you can see here that we anticipate having a little over $320,000 available in the Tucson AMA for that purpose. Regarding the firming that I mentioned before, using current estimates from CAP, we have calculated our firming obligation to the community to be 10,281 acre-feet in 2026. We will use firming credits for this purpose, which correspond to water that was pre-delivered on reservation in 2017 and 2018. There is no firming anticipated to be needed for CAP M&I subcontractors or on-river contractors. And there's no request for intentionally created unused apportionment for the Southern Nevada Water Authority in 2026 either. These estimates from CAP are as of yet preliminary, so this firming volume may be adjusted later in the year.
Madeline, excuse me for interrupting, but I have a question on that last slide.
Sure.
So you
Fire
don't
away.
have data in the chart past 2018? So we're 7 years behind. Is that what I'm understanding?
No, this chart is a combination of the firming credits developed and the firming credits used. So the year on the far left shows the year that the firming credits were developed by the bank. And then as you carry through the table to the right, you can see firming credits used, and under that, through calendar year 2025, that column represents the acre footage of credits that were used for firming through 2025 from the year that the credits were developed. Because when we distribute our credits, we do it in order of the year that they were developed, the earliest first. So we track that, and that's what we're representing here.
So there's no tracking of anything past 2019 yet?
This is just for these firming credits. It does
There
not
were no
reflect
firming
other.
credits after 2019. I'm really having a hard time. Maybe everybody else gets it and I'm just too thick, but I'm not understanding why there's no data past 2018.
There was no storage occurring then.
Thank you. That would be helpful. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. For the firming credits themselves, we have other forms of storage. We have other forms of credits that will be used for firming for the Gila River Indian community and for other purposes. But these specific firming credits, this category, yes, there was not storage of them.
Nothing after 2018.
Yes.
Okay, now I get it. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
All right. I'm glad we could clear that up for you. Let's see, where were we? So this table, in this table, you can see the 10,281 acre-feet that we are anticipating using next year for firming. You can see that they are coming out of that firming credit row there in the middle of the table. And also represented there are some of the other forms of credits that we will have available for firming for the community in the future. Because you can see on the far right that we will have 1,119 acre-feet remaining of these firming credits after 2026. But we will have the ability to use long-term storage credits or ICS firming credits to fulfill our obligations in the future. After 2026, we also anticipate completing the DCP reciprocal exchange. The last entity has requested to exchange their credits that were accrued in the Pinal AMA under the DCP exchange agreement for ones that we hold in the Phoenix AMA. And this is a total of 6,650 acre-feet. This entity has until the end of 2026 to request the exchange and have already contacted us, so we are just waiting for them to complete the forms. That concludes my presentation. I open the floor for any further questions or comments.
Questions from the board?
Yeah, Michael Block.
Mhm.
In your written report that's on the Water Bank website, you have, well, and in this report here, you have the estimated cost for credit purchase of $400 an acre foot. I was curious where that cost was derived from.
The purchase rate for 400 per acre, per long-term storage credit, that is from purchases that were made in 2025. So we're using current market rates to reflect possible purchase volumes next year. These rates could change as the market changes year to year, but we're using the extant numbers for now.
Okay. I was also curious about on the intergovernmental agreement between the Water Bank and the Gila River Indian community, when that agreement expires.
Chair,
For
little
the-
members of the council, this is Rebecca Burnett with the manager of the Water Bank. I'm assuming you're referring to the IGA, the 2019 IGA that was made during the drought contingency plan. And that IGA actually does not expire. We have different rates that are a list of rates that are set for us to purchase ICS with those rates increasing every year. But the agreement itself does not expire. It was an understanding that we would purchase those credits as wearable every year, and we will have actually purchased all of those ICS firming credits by the end of 2026. So we'll have fulfilled our commitment by the end of 2026.
Thank you.
Of course.
Doug, you have any comments or questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
How about you, Pat?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Madeline, and thank you, Rebecca, for walking us through this item. Thanks for the update. Okay, moving on to item number 4, Water Management Assistance Programs. Tommy, let's hear from you.
And just one moment here too, we do have some people in the chat from the public that have introduced
Oh, sorry,
themselves.
I can't see that. Well, let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. All right. John is here from Tucson Water. Pam is here from Global. Wally's here from Metro. JD Roner is here from the Arizona Cotton Growers Association. Okay, thank you. Is that it? Do I
Thank you, Madam.
need to notice anything else here? I'm seeing them now.
That is all I see.
Okay, great.
Yeah, just wanted to note those for.
Yeah, thank you, because I nothing was beeping at me or anything. Okay.
Sure.
Tommy,
Are you ready?
yes, all right, yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, council members and members of the public. I will be going over the Water Management Assistance Program fund balance, the status of the DCP Groundwater Conservation Grant, and introduce the projects that are completed. Next slide, please.
Do you want to control?
Oh, sure. So the current balance is $160,467. Of that, $67,050 is committed, leaving a balance of $93,417. We expect to collect about $71,000 annually at the current rate. Right, on the screen is a chart of the WMAP fees collected for the past 5 years. The fee for 2021 was 25 cents. It was raised to 50 cents for 2022, 2023, and 2024, and it has been kept the same for 2025 at 50 cents. The admin and enforcement fee is 50 cents, and the water bank fee is $2.50 for a grand total of $3.50 per acre foot. Right, as for the current projects being funded by WMAP, there is currently one project that is funded, which is the Arizona Project Wet Tucson. Arizona Project Wet was recently renewed in spring. And next, I will give you an update on the groundwater conservation grant. All of the projects have been completed. One of the projects that has most recently completed their project, namely the Expanding a Water Loss Control Program throughout Tucson Water's distribution system, will be presenting their accomplishments today.
Good.
And go ahead, sorry.
No, I said good. Yeah, good.
Oh, okay. So yeah, before we move on to the presentations, are there any questions regarding the WMAP funds or the groundwater conservation projects?
Yeah,
Count. Yeah.
Michael Blunt. Had a question about, so we have $93,000 that is unencumbered, and Project Wet usually is around 67,000. When do the withdrawal fees come into the department? Is it this next fiscal year or this fiscal year?
So should I answer?
One moment here.
I think, don't they have to be in by April 1st? Sorry, this is Doug Greenland.
Well, what I'm wondering is when they actually get transferred to the
Right.
department.
Right.
Because doesn't it go to the secretary, the treasurer or whatever?
So, yeah, so if the checks have to be written to the ADWR by April 1st, and then when do they get transferred over?
Right. I suspect there's some lag time, but yeah, it would be interesting to note because if we're paid up with Project Wet until middle of next year, yeah, until a year from now, actually September 1st, we should have 93 plus about 60 some. So
That's what I'm wondering is
exactly, yeah.
Do we have extra or we don't have extra?
Exactly. And the B part of the question that I will ask when they come back on is how did that get re-upped until September 1 of next year? Are we just completely out of the loop that Tom just decides he's going to fund Project Wet for another year and we're not privy to that, or we don't have input into that anymore? That's my question. On top of the other question.
So, right, as the Project Wet was renewed this spring, it was because their contract was ending, and that was before we could have the spring GAC. We couldn't have a spring GAC, so we had to kind of consult with the director and kind of figure out if we should renew it or not, and he made the decision. Ideally, we would have a spring GAC,
Okay.
and they, yes, they would be able to present, and GAC Council would be able to make recommendations, but this year we could not have the spring GAC, which is the reason why it was renewed in the spring.
Okay, well, that explains some things for me, and we're presuming that it will have a stable group of you folks in the spring so that we can have a meeting, ideally in person, so we could see your shiny faces down here. But it would be helpful, to have face-to-face contact once in a while. So that being said, what's the answer to Mike's question about when that money gets put in our purse?
Right. So the WMAP projects are funded partly from the groundwater withdrawal annual report. So this is the Tucson AMA. So it would be funded by the groundwater withdrawals in the Tucson AMA, and those annual reports are due March 31st. And that's when we start getting reports and when we start processing like payments for the fiscal year, the year before that. So in 2026, we're processing 2025 annual report. And that's when the funds get replenished mostly.
Tommy, I guess what I'm asking, I'm paraphrasing for you, Mike. Excuse me if I'm not getting this right, but theoretically, the reports come in by the 1st of April. If we're going to have a spring meeting, we should have enough lag time so we know what you've actually gathered for our AMA, so that we know how much money we have to work with and how we might allocate that money. Is that sort of what you're getting at, Mike?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if we have $93,417 or the $26,367 if
Right.
after the encumbrance of the next renewal for the project wet.
Right.
Right. So the current balance currently, the 160,000 is basically what we have in total, and encumbered is $67,000. Is taking part of that 160,000, and that's Arizona Project Wet. So the remaining balance is unobligated. It's just sitting there ready to be due, basically.
So is the question that you are asking here is that when Arizona Project Wet is up for renewal in 2026, where will there be an addition of withdrawal fees to go towards that remaining balance before the next renewal?
That's sort of getting to the question, but I think the real question is, what's the lag time between when the reports come into ADWR and when that amount of withdrawal fees is credited to the Tucson AMA account, so that we know what we've got to work with when we theoretically meet next April or May?
I will write down that question
Okay,
and
yeah.
try to get a
Okay.
solid answer for you there.
Okay.
You should have most of it by August.
So let me come at it a little bit different. On your sheet here, it says that the
Good.
contract with Project Wet ends on 8/30 of 2026.
Yep.
So I'm assuming if that's the case, then the encumbered funds would be everything that they need through that date.
Right.
So we should get an inflow in April, I would assume, that would then increase the remaining balance, and they would not need any new funds until August.
Right. That's my assumption. That's my assumption. But also, we've got to get back to being more proactive about funding some projects. If we've got about $150,000 to work with.
That's my
Go ahead,
real
Mike.
that's my real question, is whether or not in the spring we would have to actually make someone submit a proposal for or split that amount.
Yeah. No, and so I think that the new staff is on it, and they'll have a better answer, and we'll be cognizant of that when we schedule a GUAC meeting for next spring in April or May. Anything else on that item?
My only other question, this is Michael Block,
Yeah.
was whether or not Project Wet had a report that they could share with the GUAC as far as their accomplishments from last year, the last grant cycle.
We do not have that on the agenda for today, but we can write that down for a future agenda item for the upcoming meeting in the spring.
Yeah, I was just requesting if it could be sent to us. It doesn't.
We can reach out and facilitate that for you.
Okay.
And I think it would be great if we have an in-person meeting in the spring. I know Project WET would probably like to report to us directly, if possible. I mean, that would be ideal. It may not work out that way, but that would be ideal. So yeah, good. That'll be on our agenda in the spring. Anything else, Doug? You got something?
No, I think we've hit all the ideas there that we need to understand so we can look at projects.
Okay. Mike, anything else?
No.
Pat?
No.
Okay, let's move on to item number 5. John, are you still with us?
Yes, I am here. I'm
Hi.
still with you, Val.
Hi.
Not gone anywhere. Hi.
Good. Take it away.
So my presentation is going to be shared. There it goes, right on time.
There it is.
So hi, everybody. My name is John Van Winkle. I'm the administrator for the Planning and Engineering Division at Tucson Water. I'm also Tucson Water's chief engineer. So today I'll be providing a summary of our 2020 IGA for non-revenue water loss leak detection. I have a few highlights of what we did and a program summary. So with that, I'll get started. Next slide, please. So for people not familiar with the Tucson water system or maybe need a refresh, I know I need a refresh on this every few months as we build and expand and change things. This is an overview of Tucson Water's potable system. So we have a 391 square mile active management area. We've got a little over 4,600 miles of pipe in the ground, about 420 of which are transmission mains. We have 130 boosters, 146 transfer valves, a whole bunch of fire hydrants, 157 active potable wells, and 63 storage facilities. And so we've got a large spread out system. So water loss and maintenance is very important for us and being proactive in it. And the ADWR grant allowed us to focus in on some areas that we knew we had potential for issues on, and you'll see those coming up in the next couple slides. But overall, we were able to use those dollars fairly effectively to locate and identify problems. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the first one, so we have a very active corrosion detection program. All of our pipelines have cathodic protection systems on it, either active or passive systems. And we were able to identify an issue with one of our 30-inch steel transmission mains by measuring voltage potential between our cathodic test stations and the soil and the pipeline itself, and found that there was a stray current interference issue from an adjacent gas line. A lot of EPNG or Southwest Gas metallic pipelines are actively protected with an impressed current. Not to go into too heavy a detail, but depending on their proximity to our infrastructure, there can be an issue associated with our cathodic protection system and the gas line cathodic protection system. So this is an example of an issue that we found through investigations, showing, you can see kind of in the bottom right-hand picture, you can see all the little kind of hotspot pockets of where we were getting very targeted and focused degradation of the steel transmission main. But we were able to identify that issue and rectify it. So next slide. Another larger effort that was undertaken as part of this grant was internal acoustic inspection of our 42-inch Alvar Valley transmission main. You can see its extents there. So it's one of our more critical pipelines. It brings in water from our AV well field out west. And so we used a technology called a smart ball, which is essentially an acoustic monitoring ball that gets inserted into the pipeline. travels the length of the pipeline and is able to essentially listen to the water inside it and determine whether or not there are any issues here. So in this case, we did identify some anomalies, but those were determined to be actually related to poor isolation on valves and joints along the line. So while it wasn't actually a leaking issue in the pipeline itself, it was associated with the infrastructure needed to properly isolate the line. So at the end of the day, it still helps us because we need to be able to properly isolate these lines if we're going to do internal inspections. If we have to shut down the line due to some emergency or repair, we need to know which valves or which laterals are causing issues so that we can properly isolate. Part of a separate project, not specifically part of the grant, is to actually go through and do valve replacement on the Alvar Valley line. It's just that's a much larger effort that was undertaken essentially with results from this program. We're able to kind of guide us on where we had issues, being able to properly isolate the line. So no leaks, but information that we are still using to improve the condition of that line and better maintain it. Next slide, please. So the last and final part of this that we undertook was a kind of a classic boots on the ground leak detection program. If people not necessarily familiar with Tucson, I know the images on the right-hand side are very are small, but we undertook a classic sounding leak detection boots on the ground activity. And that we did find a series of leaks, almost 200 of them, that were either associated with valves or meters or leaky hydrants or ARVs. There was a host of other things, all the miscellaneous infrastructure and appurtenances that go into the construction of the distribution system. There's lots of potential for that. And those leaks were not significant in and of themselves, but equated to a rather significant number when you took them in total. So using this grant, we were able to undertake that activity and identify these leaks and save water. So next slide. So the summary for the grant, we inspected about 660 miles of distribution pipeline. We found 192 leaks found and repaired. We identified that stray current interference on a transmission main, and were able to repair that and rectify the corrosion and the potential difference between the impressed current system on the gas line and our transmission mains. We were able to not only repair the leak, but actually address the cause of the leak. And from those leaks, we estimate that we saved approximately 63 million gallons or 194 acre feet of water per year. And in addition to that, we inspected 9 miles acoustically of the Alvar Valley transmission main. So the picture on the right is actually an electromagnetic inspection of a exposed portion of the transmission main, where we actually, when we excavate, we can get much more detailed information on the actual condition of the concrete cylinder pipe, and locate more and corrosion more specifically. That picture was part of a separate leak detection effort, but it's an example of something we do when we have to excavate a line and identify potential hotspots, so to speak. So with that, I'll take it to the last slide and open it up for questions.
Interesting toys, John. Interesting toys.
Yeah, some of it is pretty neat. There's another one. It wasn't used for this program, but the smart ball is pretty neat. The neat thing about it is it's pretty nimble. So we just need a good insertion point and an extraction point. The tricky part about using that or any sort of internal inspection of an active pipeline is that as the ball is moving with the water, and so we essentially have to stay half a mile ahead of the ball as it travels down and close and open valves so that the ball continues to stay in the pipeline.
Sure.
And there was an instance with not the smart ball, with another piece of equipment where somebody forgot to close a lateral valve.
The ball
went the wrong way. It ran amok, and it took us a while to find it. If we plan ahead and are able to stay ahead of it, it's a pretty effective means of doing inspection.
Other comments or quick? Go ahead. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mike.
Michael Block. John, I was curious how long for that ball to travel the nine miles.
So I can tell you the water should be flowing around 5 feet per second. So I don't know how that maths out, but we basically take the velocity in the pipeline, and the ball travels with the water, and we just have to have crews ahead of it. So we're closing and opening valves. I don't know specifically the feet per second, but it's an all day thing, and usually it involves some overnight work, just because there might be a temporary isolation of the transmission main that needs to occur to insert the ball. So typically the work is done overnight so that if we do have to do any shutdowns, it's not a major impact to operations. So.
Okay. And then my second question was related to the leak detection. Was it based on age of the pipes that you selected that one area in the Broadway area?
Yeah. So also people familiar with the Tucson area is that the older or the more original subdivisions, right, typically focused around downtown. That's essentially our 0 point. The city is kind of split from like the east-west blocks start on either side of where we started. So we essentially chose the 0 point in the city's grid system and then just went in both directions. So that might be indirectly associated with the age of the city and the age of the area, just because that's the origin of the block system for Tucson. But yeah, that area of town happens to be and contain a lot of older infrastructure. So
it's consistent with the address setup. The address is 0 is Euclid and Broadway, both north and south, east and west. Or
correct.
so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So we figured if that would be a good starting point.
Yeah. Yeah. Logical. Doug, you had a question as well? No, sorry, Mike, if you're not through.
I was just curious what sort of lessons learned from that will help you in the future.
Sure. Yeah. So, despite all the technology and advancements, like the smart ball is very neat. There's also an internal free swimming electromagnetic inspection device that we use. We have some pretty advanced fiber optics inside large diameter transmission mains to detect failure inside of there, right? Very advanced warning and alert systems. But it's still, it's still hard to compete with just kind of classic people going out there and, beating around the bush, so to speak, and just doing handheld leak detection. You were typically able to identify these areas, either they have heavier vegetation or they're in an alley or there's been some historic leak. We track all the breaks, all the leaks and repairs that we make. So we will know where those issues are, where they're centered around. It's just being able to put in the time to actually find them and fix them. That's where most of the effort has to go in. So I think the big takeaway from this is that, it's that the kind of just the classic hands-on inspection is still very efficient at determining where leaks are, finding them and fixing them. We have to use the more advanced technologies to minimize disruptions, right? Because we get into some fairly complicated situations from an operations standpoint. But, you kind of have the dichotomy of the two, right? This very high-tech internal inspection device and somebody just out there listening on the ground. So both have their place and are very effective. But the leak detection, we're able to get to that right away, and it's a pretty direct, repeatable way of finding issues. The acoustic inspections can lead to other issues, like the internal smart ball didn't actually find a leak, but it found an issue with the valves adjacent to the pipeline, right? So it wasn't immediately a problem, but it identified something else that we had to correct. So it's one of many means of identifying and fixing these, and just making sure we're not losing water.
Thank you.
Yep.
Doug, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a couple, John. So on the acoustic ball, to your point, the anomalies you found weren't what you were looking for, but it helped out in something else. It seems like you're very high on this technology, though. Have you had other experiences where you've used it and found something other than for this project, or?
So for the smart ball, no, but it has identified. So it detects noise, right? And so it will, if there's a leak in a line, it will tell us that it's there, right? But it will also tell us if there's a leak through a valve, right? Those essentially have the same like acoustic signature, so to speak. So I'm only aware of this instance. We've used another technology called a pipe diver. It's a free swimming device, and it has essentially fins that drag along the inside of the pipeline, and they just measure the thickness of the metal along the pipeline. And that it comes from the same company, so it's Xylem. They offer both these technologies. The smart ball is much simpler to operate. It's just easier. The free swimmer requires a much larger access way. It's much more. Butterfly valves are the nemesis of that device. It likes to get wrapped around them. But that one in particular we've used that in several instances to find areas of deteriorating metal on transmission mains. And when we go and actually dig it up and do an inspection, it's spot on, right? So it tells us within a meter of where this deterioration is occurring, and we're able to get there before there's an issue. The smart ball will detect an issue. It won't tell you if you're on the verge or on the cusp of an issue. But we employ a wide variety of technologies on the large diameter stuff, because those are the main arterials. And so, yeah, there's a wide variety. Those are the two that we use in particular, along with the permanently installed fiber optic monitoring.
Okay, and then I wanted to ask you, you mentioned on the cathodic protection that I believe it was yours and Southwest Gas were interfering with each other.
Yep.
How far apart do they need to be to avoid that? Do you have any idea, or?
So that varies a lot depending on the soil. And so if you have a soil with a high level of resistance to it, or that's dry, right, versus a soil has a low level of resistance and wet or saturated, the current in that soil, or the ability of that soil to transmit electricity, can change wildly. And so there is no distance. It depends on the system, it depends on the soil, and it all has to be evaluated separately.
So if I'm understanding,
in this case, I believe it was a frequency issue with the impressed current system and the passive system on our end. So I couldn't go there. Unfortunately, I don't know enough details about it, but we get a Peak Corrosion is our contractor that does the majority of that work.
yeah.
But it has to be determined per project, soil conditions, pipeline material, all that good stuff.
So if it's soil moisture content, then it's possible you're seeing, or all of us are seeing more corrosion in the monsoon season versus the rest of the year, kind of thing then.
And yeah, it depends on where they cross, right? So we have transmission mains that go underneath washes, right, that are more susceptible to that, where we have to either up the amount of anodes that we have, or provide some other form of protection, perhaps use a different material. Yeah, it could be location specific, and it could vary along the length of a transmission main. There's going to be areas that are in more highly corrosive soil, or more susceptible to corrosion, depending on the length of the project. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then like just one comment. I mean, the acre feet saved is awesome, and then just Val's beat this into me. So don't forget to add your electricity saved by not having to pump the water onto the savings there too. So.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. I don't know what that number is, but yeah, we do spend a lot of time and energy pumping water. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that has a knock-on benefit when we fix something. Sure.
Very good. Very good. Pat, you have any comments?
We need more meetings so we understand each other.
Okay, we're going to have one in the spring for sure, Pat. Thank you, John, very much. Thank you for this.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to move on to item number 6. We've got to talk about the groundwater withdrawal fee. Let's hear it from the council. Comments, please. Doug.
I guess my first question would be, seemed like last year we compared us to Maricopa and some of the other counties. Do we have that information still?
We do not have that information displayed to compare the different AMAs next to each other. But that is information that we could provide for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just don't need it displayed per se, but I mean, I think the intent last year was we were just wondering, are we high, are we low? And it seemed like last year we were the highest. Is that still the case, or have you done any other AMAs? Have they set their fees yet for this year or next year, I should say?
Nothing gets officially set until October 1st by the director. So we have had other withdrawal fee recommendations by the other GOAC councils. We are not complete with our round of GOAC meetings with all of the AMAs yet. But let's get that information handy here. Just one moment.
I thought maybe I had that original chart that showed the various AMAs in my folder from earlier meetings, but I don't see it, so I'm no help.
Okay, so we were able to pull up, and are you interested in just the WMAP contribution to the withdrawal fees?
I mean, that's the one piece of it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know all of them where we sit.
Sure. So you are not currently the highest, actually. Tucson right now is currently 50 cents. And the highest we have is in Santa Cruz at $2 contribution. So they're actually at their maximum for WMAP withdrawal fee contributions. And just under Santa Cruz, we have Prescott at $1.25, Pinal at 70 cents, and Phoenix at 35 cents. So,
and for those AMAs, what's their overall total fee?
overall total is $3.35 for Phoenix, $3.05 for Pinal, $2 for Prescott, $3 for Santa Cruz, and Tucson is here at $3.50.
So
What was-
in total, we're the highest, but I guess the way we divide it up is different then.
So one of those AMAs, Taylor, has only a WMAP fee and no administrative or enforcement fee. I thought that was mandatory.
One moment, let me confirm that.
Because it's got to be total over $2.
At the last meeting, they had a chart of all the AMAs.
They
and
had
all
a-
the different fees.
That's right.
You-
But we
you
haven't
were the
had a-
highest by 25 cents.
But that,
But it's
that was
because their distribution of that money is different.
Right, right. Thanks, Wally.
turn it on.
Did
so
that
we
clear
can-
up the question?
Say it again, Taylor.
Apologies for interrupting there. I just wanted to clear up what exactly you were asking.
I think one of the AMAs that you listed, you said that their total was only $2. And it seems unlikely to me because I think you said their WMAP input was $2. So that meant that there would be nothing allocated for administrative and enforcement, which I think is required, and that there would be nothing for the water bank. So
I share your confusion there, Madam Chair, and those were actually, it's difficult when you're not looking at the chart that I see right now, but it's Prescott AMA that has a total of $2 fee, and they are contributing $1.25 to the WMAP assistant program.
And then
So
75 cents for the rest. Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Correct. Yep.
What was Pinel's total?
Canal's total is $3.05.
Thank you.
Do we have any further questions from the council regarding the other AMA withdrawal fee rates?
I'm good. It would be really interesting once Tom makes his decision for us to see a chart of what the final was for all the AMAs.
Sure, and I
See who's-
believe that is a document that we would be able to share out with the council.
Great. Just whenever it's ready, just to send it to us. And also, just as an aside, I'm kind of interested to see if our total fee collection goes down in this year like it did in 2024, to see if that's a trend we'll see, or if 2023 was just an anomaly. So just an aside, sorry. Okay, thank you for the information. Now we've got to talk amongst ourselves about what we want to recommend.
That is correct.
If you could put up that other slide that has the yeah, there you go. That's what we need to work off of. What do you want, kids?
Madam Chair, I would, this is Michael Block, I would recommend we keep the groundwater withdrawal fee for 2026 as the same amount that we had in 2025.
This is Doug Greenland. I would second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Pat?
Yeah, I'm thinking of a substitute motion, if I
Okay.
might, for a moment. Yes,
Okay.
I will make a a substitute motion that the fee be reduced by 25 cents. So it would be instead of 50, it'd be 25 cents.
And where would that 25 cents come out of? Would it come out of the WMAP, or I guess it's the only place it come out of because its minimum is 50 cents for administration?
Yeah, that's the only place where we really have any
Leeway.
recommendation to make.
Okay, well, we have a motion and then we have another motion. Does anybody want to second Pat's motion? I think she's going to die for lack of second, Pat. Okay, let's have a vote. All in favor of the original motion? You want to do a voice vote or a roll call? Okay, voice vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, sounds like 4-0 to me. Thank you, Pat. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Doug. All right, that's our recommendation. Okay. Moving on to item number 7. David, you want to give us a report? Lots of changes since last year.
Yeah, sure thing, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, and thank you all for the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to begin with an organizational update. As many of you know, our former AMA director, Natalie Mast, has moved on to a new role with the Central Arizona Project. We wish her well and thank her for her service. I now have the privilege of serving as one of 2 new AMA directors. My role ensures that the day-to-day operations of the active management areas are running smoothly, while also supporting critical programs like the Ag to Urban program. Our other AMA director is Olga Hart, who will be leading the efforts to manage newly regulated areas as groundwater challenges emerge across the state. This includes working across the department in close coordination with the governor's office to identify, assess, and better manage Arizona's critical water supplies. These changes strengthen the AMA program by ensuring consistent operational oversight across existing programs and by positioning us to respond effectively as new regulatory needs arise. I also want to highlight leadership related to GUAC operations. Taylor Pearson is serving as the AMA program supervisor and oversees the GUAC process. While our GUAC coordinator position remains vacant, we are actively working to hire a replacement and are well on our way to filling that role. And then across the state, a few updates include the Wilcox and Douglas subsequent AMA. Following the designation of these AMAs, the department is working to establish the regulatory framework and management strategies for these areas. Separate from the Tucson AMA, the issues are interconnected. What happens in one AMA can inform policies in another. The creation of these new AMAs underscores the importance of strong data, management tools, and local input in shaping the future of groundwater regulation across the state. At the same time, we know that Arizona's water future is closely tied to the Colorado River. The department is deeply engaged in negotiations with our basin partners and the federal government to develop post-2026 operating guidelines. The outcome of these negotiations will shape the entire state's water security. Reduced reliance on the river in central Arizona places added importance on the sustainable management of local groundwater supplies. And finally, councils like this are invaluable. We recognize that the issues facing Tucson are distinct, and your local insights guide how we can shape and implement policy. I also want to highlight the Ag to Urban public meeting that will be held on September 18th at 1 o'clock here at the department. For context, the Ag to Urban process addresses transfers groundwater from agricultural to urban uses. As Arizona's population grows and some agricultural areas reduce water use, the department must carefully evaluate these transfers to ensure that our regulatory programs, water supply planning, and conservation efforts remain balanced and sustainable. This process has added complexity to our work, which is why the new leadership team and upcoming public engagement are so important. In closing, I want to emphasize that while our challenges are significant, we are taking meaningful steps. Your continued engagement ensures that our work is grounded in the realities here in Tucson. Thank you again for your time and your commitment to advancing sustainable water management, and I look forward to our discussion.
Thank you, David. Comments or questions for HWR staff while we have them? Doug?
Yeah, I've got a question. This is Doug Greenland. So appreciate that, David. Just a quick question. I mean, the Tucson AMA was left out of the ag to urban language specifically, but as some of the people I've talked to interpret that, it seems like the bill would give direct authority to the ADWR to institute it in Tucson. Is that your take on it, or is that what you're hearing, or?
From what I understand, it is an option in the future, but not at the moment.
Okay, yeah, so that's kind of what I'm hearing is it makes it so that to bring Tucson into that, they don't have to go through the legislature again. It could be done by the ADWR. So
Right, that's what I understand.
okay,
Interesting.
thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, Michael Block. I had a question whether or not the department was, when you talked about future regulatory challenges, whether data centers was one of those particular topics out there.
Data centers are classified as an industrial user. So yes, they are definitely on the list of entities that are coming up more and more as time goes on, and that they're going to require substantial water use in some cases, and ensuring that there are enough supplies for those users to be successful is part of the reason why we're here, essentially. So it's an issue, but we understand that the need for it, and working forward to make sure that there's enough supply for those customers to come online is what we're trying to accomplish in short.
Yeah, one of my questions is regarding whether or not the AMA Industrial Conservation Program really addresses when it was developed in the fifth management plan for data centers, or whether or not that needs to be revisited.
Yep.
That is a possibility. One of the things that is addressed in the fifth management plan is cooling towers. And if any of these data centers operate with cooling towers, then they could be regulated that way. But I agree that there is a significant hole in the regulation for data centers, just due to the fact that it's such a new and fast evolving industry, and just wasn't addressed in the development of the management plan. But we do have tools that we can use to ensure that they're properly regulated and that their use is not excessive.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's an issue going forward. And I would just like to say a couple of things about, that issue. If we can help in any way, it's very top of mind to us down here, as I think it probably is to the other GUACs. And the way I see things, I'm speaking now to ADWR staff in the room. Your roles are changing, and they're new and they're complicated. And I'm just offering, there's an awful lot of expertise around us here in our GUAC, and I know in other GUACs. If there's anything that we can do to help you as you try to spread yourself thinner and thinner, that I think that all of us would be willing to lend a hand. I think it's difficult with a whole new team every year when we get together. It's just hard, and some of us have been working at this for a very long time. So I may not be speaking for anybody but myself, but I know that there's a lot of expertise around our table, and we'd be happy to help if we can. That being said, I have a question on a totally different thing. And David, you may not know the answer, but I think you could probably check. Has there been any action or any finalization of the City of Tucson Water DAWs? I know I asked this question a year ago and I still think it's hanging. And I wonder if there's some problem or if that's just the kind of timing we're talking about these days.
Well, Madam Chair, I'm sorry that I don't have an answer for you. You're right. It's like you have a crystal ball over there. I do not have purview over the assured water supply team, but I can definitely put an inquiry in and
Okay.
we can get
Just
you that
tell whoever
information.
it is that is pertinent to that issue that we have once again asked that question.
Will do.
Okay, thank you. Other comments or questions? How about call to the council in general?
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I just-
sir. Yes, sir.
Jacobs. I just
Yeah.
thought of a question back on the Water Management Assistant Program.
Sure.
I have a dim memory that the solicitation, there is no solicitation or period for submitting grant proposals, but it's an open area where people can submit programs at any time. Is that generally correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Well,
Yes, Tommy, yes, that is correct. They can submit an application all year long, and then during the next UAC meeting, if they're accepted, they can present to the UAC and make their case. But yes, it is open all year long.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I will, Madam
Yeah.
Chair, just for your information, I'll be making an announcement to that effect at the Central Arizona Project October meeting here in town.
Great, great. And what's the date of that meeting, Pat? I forget.
We're getting it. Hold on. I believe, I want to say the 9th, because it's not the first,
That's right.
it's not the first Thursday because of the Jewish holidays.
Ninth.
So
The
it's
9th,
October.
October 9th.
Okay. All right, we'll be there. Good, Pat. Good for
Hope to
you.
see you in person.
Yep. It's easy for us. Other comments or questions? Call to the public. Do we have some public?
Madam
Anybody?
Chair, I had one question.
Oh, sorry, Doug.
This is Doug Greenland. Can somebody tell me the amount of times that we're scheduled or supposed to meet a year? I'm sorry, I know that's a bad question, but I'm totally lost at this point.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. Does DWR have an answer?
So our statutory requirements, we do need to receive your recommendations in the fall for the withdrawal fee. So I believe our only statutory regulation is for this meeting here, but moving forward, I think our goal is to have at least 2 a year, but there can be more discussion on an individual AMA basis on if that needs to increase, decrease. That can be a discussion had, but our goal right now is 2, one in the spring and one in the fall.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Again, one more time, call to the public. Anybody? Okay, well, I think we did our business. I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 10 minutes after 2 and thank all my co-members and thank you, DWR. I know you guys have a tough row to hoe up there and we're thinking about you and we look forward to you being able to come in person in the spring. It's great down
Absolutely,
here.
and likewise.
You'll have fun. Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the council.
Take care.
Or, yep.